let's see, where do we go? Where do we go from here now that some of our children are growing? Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show. Because if you don't, I'm going to show you Trump. I'm going to watch it. I don't like to threaten people, but there she is with a big YouTube play button right over her nose. This is her on Newsmax. Now, I when I come up with show ideas, like titles shows for the shows, I look at some of the clips that are coming up and I go at what their names are because I don't pre-watch these. And in looking at them, I saw the title of this one, and the first title for today's show that came to my mind, and it didn't encompass all the stuff, so it really was focused on this clip, is that Republicans are literally illiterate. And the reason I believe this is because of people saying shit like this. Lara Trump. Literally anyone will tell you this about Biden. Now, I don't know what she's going to say that people will literally say. But I think I'm pretty sure she is going to literally be wrong. Especially for half the electorate. But let's jump in. This is that he's old. Yeah. All right. Maybe that's it. We'll see. But the upside is we only have to deal with 4 minutes.
They're also trying to tie in Hunter Biden with President Biden, not just Biden.
Of course they are, and there's no evidence of that. But they're going to keep trying because that is the argument that they want to fuzzy the waters out there, muddy the waters, not fuzzy them, muddy the waters out there. That, by the way, is a tactic that Vladimir Putin and other authoritarian dictators use, but that's their strategic objective.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no lies detected.
Quite a moment there from Joe Biden's former mouthpiece. Lara Trump joins me now to talk
who's her father-in-law's current mouthpiece on something or something.
About all of this. Good to have you back on. So Hunter's own emails and text messages, testimony from Hunter's business partners, an FBI document alleging Joe Biden was paid $5 million himself by a corrupt Ukrainian company.
Yeah, the only problem, they haven't been able to find the actual money or what the person would have gotten in exchange for that money actually happening.
And the Bidens opening more than a dozen pass-through companies to launder millions to their family. Pointing out all of that, apparently, is a Vladimir Putin tactic.
Yeah, there's no proof, Rob. No proof of anything. There's no connection at all.
Right. Yeah.
To Joe Biden. I mean, this is how insulting I think they have become on the left to everyday Americans. It is.
Oh, it's yeah. First of all, insulting Donald Trump and the ridiculousness of his surrogates is not insulting the average American, even if they voted for Donald Trump. Secondly, dial back the lip filler.
It's blatantly clear. It is obvious. It is in front of all of our faces all the time now. It feels like every day there is something new that comes out about Joe Biden's
no, we see a lot of the same shit over and over again.
Corruption. His entire family for decades now, we know, have been profiting off of his position in government.
Yeah, no. Again, that's not technically a crime, or Jared and Ivanka would be in jail right now. And secondly, the only thing that would keep you and Eric and Don Jr. and Kimberly out of jail is that you motherfuckers couldn't turn a profit if you let Fred Trump teach you how to do it.
And yet they want us to believe that if you even dare make some kind of connection, you are akin to, communists in Russia. It is amazing.
No, but Vladimir Putin is not a communist. He's a former KGB agent, but that's not because he has communist ideas. He's a dictator. Secondarily, you can make all the connections you want verbally. You can't fabricate them, and bringing them up all the time as if you have these connections when you absolutely don't is what she's talking about when she says muddy the waters or fuzzy the waters, I suppose.
To see, but I think they know that their back is against the wall. I think.
No, they don't.
They know that they are in a lot of trouble.
No, they're not.
On the Democrat side, a lot.
No, your dad, your father-in-law has just gotten indicted for the third fucking time.
A lot of trouble in the swamp.
No, the swamp apparently is fine. Apparently they cleaned out a bunch of it, and now it's like They, effectively Joe Biden has taken the swamp and turned it into a wetlands, which is protecting crucial ecosystems and rare animals.
See that everything they have tried to do to Donald Trump has backfired.
No, it hasn't.
They are very worried about Donald.
No, I'm not really. I mean, he's gross, and we don't want him anywhere near the halls of power because of what he would do, but I'm not worried about it. I just, you can take something seriously, but not actually, have it bother you the rest of the time.
Donald Trump becoming president again. And so I guess this is their last ditch attempt. They're just going to say like, oh, no, there's no proof, even though there is.
And
well, what is it then? Well, shit, if it's that obvious, I mean, it's massive amounts of evidence. Just say it. Just fucking say it. I mean, in the case of Donald Trump, like he had the red weld envelope transfer means that he knew that he had documents in his possession that he did not have the right to, or he didn't magically declassify them. The idea that he magically declassified shit that he had in his, in the boxes and the stuff that he brought back from the White House, he was aware that he didn't have the right to do that. He's on recorded tape saying he knows he's got classified documents that are secret that he doesn't have the right to, and that he's showing them to people who do not have top secret clearance at all. He's literally showing it to them. That's a crime. That's on tape. He's indicted for that shit. He not only had those things, but he probably would have not seen he would not have seen the inside of a courtroom at all had he just given the shit back. Fuck, he could have copied it and just turned in the copies and probably gotten away with it. But he's such an idiot that he literally hoisted himself with his own petard. Figuratively.
Brings up Putin. I mean, some of the money that they brought in came from Russia. The mayor of Moscow, the wife of the mayor of Moscow, gave him $3.5 million. Why?
No, she didn't. She gave it to them to invest on her behalf, of which they got like 10%. She's also the richest woman in Russia now. She was not one of the oligarchs. Her husband was, and she turned him in for corruption. She was trying to get a bug out of that fucking place.
Why would you even bring up Putin?
Amazing.
Because her ex-husband, who was the mayor of Moscow, was the Putin ally. She was not.
It is
amazing to see. Yeah,
talking about Trump here for a second, that New York Times poll came out this week. Look at that. Trump and Biden tied at 43 points. You had an op-ed in the Times today saying that Trump is having his best polling ever against Joe Biden, better than he had in 2020. Fairly obvious to see why. People in 2020 thought that Joe Biden was going to be kind of this moderate Democrat that was going to run the country in kind of a civil way, wasn't going to make a lot of noise. Nobody had any idea he was this awful and this corrupt, and the country was going to be in this bad a shape.
Explain how bad the country. Just, you got a minute? Go for it. Just tell us all how much worse the country is now that Biden's in charge. I mean, start with unemployment and the dollar and energy production and infrastructure and just go from there. And then, I mean, you can eventually go to, you preferred it when hundreds of thousands of Americans were dying at the end of Trump's blathering response to COVID.
That's a pretty good poll, though.
It's a pretty good poll, and it's actually shocking that they're even tied, to be honest with you, Rob. I mean, if you look at what has happened to our country over the past 2.5 years under...
You mean economically, or just people going back to movies? I mean, the fucking Barbie movie made $1 billion. Is that what the problem is?
The leadership, and I mean, you can call it that if you want, but we know that's not what it is, from Joe Biden. They are running this country in Washington, D.C. They're running it into the ground. They are every day doing something to try and destroy America.
Like what?
America we've always known.
Which is what?
You just have to go out and talk to anyone, literally anyone on the street, and say, is
literally anyone.
Your life better now than it was when Donald Trump was in office? And I guarantee you 10.
Well, in all fairness, have you spoken to anybody who had COVID or lost someone because of COVID?
Out of 10 people will tell you no. So it's
no, that's not the case.
It's amazing to see that they're tied, but I think what it says is that people are starting to get it. They are starting to understand what is at stake in this upcoming election. If they thought for a second they were voting for the decent guy, Joe Biden, the one that had to be...
Oh, God. I'm just so disgusted.
forced to acknowledge a grandchild of his, that guy, the guy that allows people to expose their breasts on the White House lawn. And
that person was actually banned after they did that, for the record. Secondly, I would like to say when someone bears their breasts on the White House lawn and then they're kicked off for doing it, that's one thing. When Donald Trump brags about grabbing women by the pussy, that's another. Just saying. Weigh those next to each other.
Bring cocaine into the White House. That guy, they are.
You're not allowed, right? I don't want Don Jr. to get excited. You're not allowed to bring cocaine into the White House. Otherwise there wouldn't have even been a scandal about it. By the way, have we heard about that recently? Is that still going to be a thing? Is that going to come up next year in the debates?
Are sorely mistaken if they ever thought that was going to be the guy to bring this country back. So I think they're all looking at Donald Trump now.
Yeah, what a moment right now. I mean, after January 6th and all these indictments, to see
to see all these things,
a poll that close, to see
yeah, except that's Democrats and Republicans, and that's fairly standard kind of a poll, like landline old folks poll. But when you look at independents, for example, you got Biden with an 11-point lead. You win with like a 2-point lead with independents.
Trump performing better than he ever has against Biden. It's amazing to see how politics can change in this country. Laura Trump, always good to have you on. Thank you so much. Have a good weekend.
Is it? Yeah. I think we all learned a lot.
You too. Thank you.
Could you next time? I don't want to ask. I don't want to pressure you much, but the next time you're on, could you actually, when you say terribleness about the United States, just quote something? And I don't want to hear fucking about milk prices from last summer. At least bring up Portland, right? Chat room. That said, hi chat room. Hold on one second. Hi chat room. Love you guys. Oi. Just cry plastic pink tears. There's a big part of it where they just wish that that COVID was still around, because it was apparently killing all the right people to them, I suppose. Yikes. It's so odd. So odd. Yeah. The idea that, and especially now that Trump is saying, if it was me, and, if people shouldn't have to take the vaccine, and we shouldn't force that on people, and therefore no mandates and no nothing and blah, blah, blah. That basically just tells all of our, enemies in the world that if you want to hit us with a bioweapon, hit us with a smaller one first, make us lower our guard, and then hit us with a big one. And if Trump's in charge, the second one will wipe us all out to the person.